Welcome to No Question About That. This is a tactics show, and we're going to talk about Bryan Mbuemo, Viktor Gyökeres, Matteus Cunha. Did I get all those names right? Dharnish, I know the internet is very offended when I do it wrong. How are you doing?
I'm good. I
Very
am good. We've scraped that last season under the carpet. Nobody knows it. No, we've Men in Blacked it. Nobody knows it's happened. It's gone. It's under the carpet.
I have no idea what you're talking about, mate. So
move fresh and forward to next season. I think is it Mbeumo? Because I said Mbeumo in a TikTok last week.
It's Mbeumo, and the reason why I know this is the Premier League puts out a video with all of the players saying their own names. And so I went and studied it, but it's like a soft boo. So go listen to him in his French accent. It's like Mbeumo. Yeah.
But then do you have to say it in a very soft Mbeumo?
You have to. You're probably too young, but do you ever watch Hello Hello?
I heard of it.
On the yeah, you have to do that. You have
I'd
to
heard
on
of
the
it.
strongest comedy French accent and then say it, and it'll be perfect. Yeah.
Mbeumo? Huh?
Yeah.
I'm Bryan Mbuemo.
Yeah.
Was that
So
fair?
yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That was
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Is it Gyökeres or Gyökeres?
Well, this is the thing. I'm going to go through this with Tom on the extra show coming up tomorrow, because he's Swedish, obviously, but of Hungarian heritage, and it's a slightly different way of saying it depending on whether you want to say it in Hungarian or Swedish. But Gyökeres, I think, is what we'll end up calling it. I was really tired when I did the finance show the other day. I may have had a couple of beverages the night before.
Hey.
With Jamie, and I called him Gyökeres or something like that. And I stuck this clip out on TikTok without really having thought about it much. And let's say TikTokers were not slow in abusing me for it. So very sorry, internet, for bastardizing his name. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Well, I'm sorry to Victor. Just in case Victor watched the show and he was
Victor's watching this.
That bastard. Yeah.
There's I think somebody sent me a message, not a message, just a tweet the other day saying, I think ever since you joined X Pod, not this one, like another one, he was like, oh, you've been chatting absolute rubbish. So I was like, so for 3 years I've been speaking and you're still paying attention.
Yeah,
what
I
am
love
I doing
that.
here? Like, come on. But anyway, getting away from the point, yeah. There's always optimism when there's no football on. I think, because there's all optimism of what might happen, what might not happen.
Yeah.
And there's a rebuild going on. Basically, this rebuild should have happened last season. And this rebuild should have been with the new manager. All that's happening is the new manager has had 6 months. He's performed awfully. The players have been awful. And we bet, I think since the last time you saw me, we bet big on one game. And the other gambler won. He even took his chips home and
Sort of
he
won.
left the casino. And
He sort of won. He got fined for it, but yeah.
We're still in the... Wait, who got fined for it?
Ange Postecoglou, mate.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but he took his chips, left the casino. We're still in the casino.
Yeah.
And we're down. So now we need to get back up. But
well, this is a good question, because I think for a few months we've been assuming that the strategy this summer will be to focus mostly on younger players and that finances were tight. It is interesting that they moved so quickly for Cunha and Mbeumo. Bryan Mbuemo. Sorry, I'll stop doing that. People are going to get very offended at this point.
That's so bad.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, Paul, the old ex-host, he's half French. His mum's French, and so I feel quite comfortable being anti-French. I'm not really. I just like to wind him up.
My best friend is French.
I love the French. So
I'm joking. I mean, I'm not joking. He is, but I don't care if you're anti-French. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm really not. I like to wind him up though. So anyway, we assumed that the strategy would be to go for younger players. They've dropped 62.5 million, 70 if you include agents' fees on Matteus Cunha. It's a fair chunk of change on a very, very good player.
Yes,
but still a lot of for the numbers he puts up, it's a lot of money. Mbeumo may cost around about the same. His numbers are bigger, but well, he's coming from a different contractual situation and all of that. He's only got a year left. And then Gyökeres will cost maybe more. It's really hard to say. We'll talk about it, of course. He's threatening to go on strike, apparently, at Sporting. So there's an awful lot of money on very senior players. Not what I expected. I mean, United can afford it because we're going to make the assumption that we're going to do a bunch of sales, especially with Garnacho definitely leaving. So I think they're seemingly happy to front end some of this, do the deals as early as possible. And we're outside of the mini window, and we'll go back into the transfer window in about 5 days' time or something. It looks like they'll front end it and then do sales to make the numbers work. I mean, he's on a 3-year rolling cycle, so they do have 2 years after this to make it. I mean, the PSR situation doesn't look awesome next season, but that's for another day.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about tactics today. I mean, how does this transform? Let's assume all these deals get done. I mean, there's only one of them definitely done.
Sure.
How does this transform United's attack? Tactically, it feels quite different to me to say Garnacho, Rashford, and Ahmad, who are all big space players. Ahmad slightly different. And then Mbeumo and Mbeumo, Cunha, very much small space players. Gyökeres is a bit different.
I think one thing I have to say is I think it's a huge positive that you're probably signing Brentford's best player and you're signing Wolves' best player, right? I mean, what would you do if you get absolutely outfought and smacked up by these teams lower than you? Oh yeah, just go buy their best player. Good, nice, good thinking.
We used to go buy other big teams' best players or something like that, but we found our level.
I think Sir Alex Ferguson used to do this. Buy the minnows as best player and transform them into one of the best players in the world.
I mean, Dwight York, Louis Saha, there's a bunch.
Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
So, but it's becoming clearer to me that this is a new attack. It's a brand new team. Like there's going to be a new Man United era, and not a lot of players from the last era are going to still be in this team. They're not probably like Bruno Fernandes and maybe Harry Maguire. But it's very much out with the old and in with the new, because people still keep reminding me, oh yeah, Sancho, Antony, Rashford, they need to go still. And Garnacho and Rashford will probably help PSR. I'm not the best guy to know about PSR, but academy players, pure profit. But tactically, how does this all work? Well, I'm not surprised that they're going for Gyökeres. But I would say Cunha is very much a player where he can play anywhere. He can play left midfield, can play attacking midfield, centre midfield, right wing. But predominantly, I think he will be in the left 10 role. Ahmad will be on the right 10 role or a fullback. And Mbeumo will be in the right 10 role or up front. And then if you have Gyökeres, it works out very, very sexily to Mbeumo, Cunha, Gyökeres, which honestly fills me with so much glee I can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
The way it will work tactically, and what I want to say about Cunha is, what are we trying to do in this transfer window? What are we trying to solve? We're trying to solve all the problems of last season. That's mainly what you're trying to do. They don't score enough goals. Okay, fine. Buy players who do. They don't create enough gaps in the spaces where Amorim wants them to, in the half spaces, right? The two left 10s next to the striker, they're not dropping deep last season. We barely saw that. We barely saw them drop deep.
Yeah.
Cunha is a player who will drop deep and take 3 or 4 players with him, and then not be afraid to take the ball, turn against 3 or 4 players. There's a goal for my piece for BBC Sport. I analysed a goal he scored against Nottingham Forest. He gets it over the top. He's alone on the corner of the penalty area. He's alone against 2 defenders. He figures out a situation where he turns Murillo and lashes it into the top corner, like by himself. So having, like, it's a very slow, rigid system, right? Everyone who watches Amorim under United last season, they told me it's slow and it's flat. The only player who was making things happen was Diallo. Now we have another player who can make things happen in Cunha.
Yeah.
So tactically, I would always picture Cunha dropping deep from the left 10, sucking players in, turning and releasing his fullback, whoever it is on that side. The same with Bryan Mbuemo, but I think what both players also give you is, if you knock it over the top now, both are powerful, both are fast, they can latch onto it and behind. It's not I remember seeing a lot of games where Mbeumo and Cunha could do this, particularly against Manchester United. You're adding a lot of physical pace and you're adding a lot of physical power as well. So tactically, I think Cunha will work excellently because he can suck players in, he can drop deep in the left 10, and he's played predominantly in a back five. In a team that plays back five for like 2-3 years, he's played there he's been the best player for 2-3 seasons, and he knows how to use his fullback, wink wink, to a certain Argentinian who always ignores his fullback.
No, true. Yeah, look, he's completely different profile, Cunha, in that left 10 role and Garnacho, and I think it's funny, I feel like I take the contrarian view on a lot of the general social media assessment of players and their non-footballing activities. You know, I could give so few fucks about whether Garnacho posts on the internet and whether his brother
I don't care.
It doesn't make any difference to me at all. Now, and that's not, I don't think, the bar for kicking players out of the club. And so if you're going to kick a young player who with a high potential out of the club, who is going to do well elsewhere, he got 21 goals and assists this season, or the season just gone, as he matures and improves, that, you know, he hopes he will. We'll see. But he does seem to be coachable. He will probably get more. So I think he'll end up with a very good career, and it'll be very easy for people to point to that and go, haha, look, right? Now,
I hate that. I hate that.
I hate that too. But if you're going to change, if you're going to swap him out, right? If you're going to say, hey, he's not a great tactical fit because he likes to be wide and he's an outside to in player, he's not a half spaces player, and he's a big spaces player, not a small spaces player, right? Almost complete opposite profile to Cunha. He's also not very efficient with his shooting. Cunha is very efficient with his shooting, right? So complete mirror of what Garnacho is. Tactically, completely different, can give you something different, right? I'm all right with that. I'm all right if that's it's on Amorim's head and the owners and the executives to get this right. If they're saying this is the thing we need to do to make this team better, then cool, right? That's all good. It's going to be on them. If it doesn't work out, Amorim's going to get fired. He'll walk away with 10 to 15 million pounds, and Omar Barada will be looking to get Oli out of Besiktas, right? So, this is football. And if it's a better fit for what Amorim wants to achieve, which is what you're saying, I think that's all right. It's a bit of a gamble, of course, when you spend a lot of money on a mature player and boot out a young player in order to do that.
I would rather we keep him, but I would say it's an upgrade. I would definitely say it's an upgrade. And it's also this thing of, this is a new era. I need to stamp my mark on the fact that it's a new era. I think there's been something else that's going on. Him and Rashford were dropped at the same time. It wasn't just Rashford that was dropped. You have to remember it was Garnacho too. But the point being, tactically, with Cunha in, with Mbeumo in, we'll have 2 10s that will drop, turn, and get past players. Both of them can run past players. Both of them can progress the ball, right? Both of them, wherever they are on the pitch. Garnacho, can he dribble? Yeah. Can he dribble wherever he is on the pitch? No. Can Cunha dribble wherever he's on the pitch? Absolutely. Absolutely. The amount of times I've seen him drop deep into the centre circle for Wolves, 3 or 4 players surround him because he's their best player, because this is their talisman. He doesn't care. He takes them on. And Mbeumo does the same thing, by the way. I've seen Mbeumo do the same thing. One of Wissa or Mbeumo, they dovetail a lot. One of them drops, the other one goes. When one of them drops, the other guy makes a run in behind. They have a good partnership and stuff like that. But Mbeumo is very good at that. The other thing I want to really mention, I really, really, really want to nail this down, right? Because it's really, really clear what the problem is with Man United's Amorim. When they're pressed, they don't know what to do. When they get it past the press, and when they're in the attacking third, when they're finally in those positions to make cutbacks, make crosses, because that's the only way you score in this system, unless you have Viktor Gyökeres. When they're in crossing positions, and you saw it in the final, they're crap at crossing. They're crap. The only guy who's good at crossing the ball, and I know he's going to comfortably put it on someone's head, he is now going to probably play in the pivot, is Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
He's probably going to play a deeper role now. There was one chance. Remember the Bruno Fernandes chance in the Europa League final? I remember watching the first highlights of it. I'm not joking. I lost my rag, because that is like those are the chances that we need to see more often from Amorim. Højlund went off. Xerxes is miles better at doing the things that Amorim wants from a striker. He drops deep, and I think literally four Tottenham players follow him. Mm-hmm. So you've sucked four Tottenham players in. It goes wide to Mazraoui. Garnacho and Dogu are wide, free, completely free. He manages to cross it to Fernandes, and he heads it wide. It's obviously a big chance in a big game, and I wish it went in, and I wish instead of going to Fernandes, he went wide to Dogu and Garnacho. But the point is, those are the chances that this team is supposed to make. If Mbeumo is in those crossing positions, or he's on the end of the cross, it probably goes.
Yeah,
it's probably a better chance. The XG of the chance increases.
Yeah. Well, I think that is absolutely right. I mean, Thomas Frank at Brentford was talking about this just yesterday, actually, how he likes to increase or maybe I was watching it yesterday. It was an older video. How he likes to increase the value of the XG for the chance by creating chances that are high value, and that has been very much a modern coaching philosophy, hasn't it? I mean, we've seen the number of long range shots, the number of goals from long range decrease over the last 10 years quite rapidly in the Premier League. All coaches are looking to create higher XG chances. I mean, Pep's the ultimate expression of that, where if it's scored from outside the 3 centimetres from the goal line, he probably finds them a week's wages or something like that. Yeah, I'm being ridiculous, but Amorim is not far off that. That's what he wants to create. He wants to create those wide overloads with his left hand and his overlapping wing back, and then the cutback for the third man or the striker. And just look at one of those. Was it the Dorgu flashed it across the box in the Europa League final? That's the kind of goal that Gyökeres may well get. I mean, the interesting thing is that I was thinking, and tell me if you think I'm smoking something here, but if you're getting rid of Rashford and Garnacho, both players who like to use a lot of space, and bringing in Cunha and Mbeumo, both players who like the ball to their feet, really, rather than into space, then what do you do in transitional moments, right? So Gyökeres then does really fit that, because he is a very, very good channel runner. I actually think he's a much better channel runner than he is perhaps with the ball to his feet and his first touch and, box player and all of that. And that feels like, at least on paper, a very good balanced front three. Still have the problem, as you mentioned, how do you progress it out of the back line without Martinez in there? I mean, we've seen Yoro carry it. We haven't seen a lot of good passing out of the back three. And then how, from the pivot, have you got the right players to receive, avoid the press, and move it forward, right? So if it is going to be Duarte and Fernandes, or Mainoo if Fernandes is further forward, some kind of balance of that. Hopefully not Uncle Cass, because lovely man, has been a great player. I think we've had enough of that.
Got to keep Uncle Cass, nice and rested. He needs his tea.
He's not going to play a lot of football next season, right? There's not going to be a lot of cup games, yeah.
No, I think he's not. He's going to be used like last 20, 30 minutes, this, that, the other.
Yeah, I mean, kind of has to be, right? Because where we've seen him struggle is in the Premier League games where it's much, much more physical, and he will get immediately pressed, and that's where the scattergun passing comes, and he hits those kind of hopeful balls, and it doesn't work very well, right? So, anyway, to round off my point, we've got this new dynamic attack that feels kind of balanced. Let's just assume it's going to happen. How do we get it from that back three if we're not going to buy another defender, and Martinez is not back till January, and we don't know how he'll do because 2 bad knee injuries now? And what does the pivot look like to make sure we get it into those forward areas, right? And as you say, Cunha especially will drop deep and will be a better half spaces receiver than we've had to date, right? So
absolutely,
you can kind of see the framework happening. I do still worry, how do you get it? Anana's got the ball if we don't change him out. Yeah. What happens from there to stop it just going long because we can't progress it from the back three into the middle third, into the final third?
Well, I think whoever is the left centre-back and the right centre-back, they realised through, and whenever someone did realise, okay, God, I got to drive forward 20 yards, it was like this magic thing. I think I said this before. Whenever it was Martinez, Aiden Heaven, or Euro, and they finally made some progress about, I got to drive with the ball because everybody else is pressed, I can't pass it, they got injured. All 3 of them got injured. Euro is good at it. Heaven is good at it. If we can find some minutes for them, I have faith that they will drive the ball forward with it.
Yeah.
If that isn't the case, what happens is the striker also drops it. So say, for example, if I'm the left centre back and my wing back is marked, Cunha drops deep, but he's marked. What happens is the striker has to come over to that side as well. You fizz it into your striker. Now, if your striker is Rasmus Højlund, he can probably catch it with his chest, with his head, turn and release the fullback who's making a run. Whoever is in that striker slot, whether it's Gyökeres, whether it's Xerxes, we will be better off when it's not Højlund, because we just know, I'm not digging in on him, Rasmus, look, if you're still a player with us, I want you to get better, of course. But we've learned that these attacking moves, they break down whenever it gets to him because he can't make the ball stick, either with his chest or with his foot. It's a prime example, okay? The game against Southampton when Diallo scored a hat-trick last season, I know Diallo was good. Xerxes was subbed off for Højlund, and the minute that happened, whenever they went long to Xerxes, he would just make a situation where he would get the ball down and trap it. Sometimes a Southampton defender would sort of, I think, jump in the air and head it. He would sort of ease him out of the way and then trap the ball. So if everybody is pressed and if your centre-back isn't moving forward 20 yards, even though we possess a few now who have learned that you have to drive forward, if that's happening, you can go long to Gyökeres or Xerxes and they'll probably make the ball stick. And if that doesn't happen, you can probably give the ball to Cunha, who's dropping deep, or Mbeumo, who's dropping deep, and turn and then go. What I would like is for the option of Mainu to be there as well. And I want Mainu 23-24 there, who is literally, he was just taking care of the progression by man. But he would literally get the ball, turn, run past 2-3 midfielders, and then go, there you go. I've got the ball from defence into attack. I'm just one player. That's it. I need that back too.
I'd like to see that back. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been some commentary that they're going to put Mainu when he's back from Santorini or wherever he is, sipping his wine. And, I can't. I just made that up. He posted some pictures. He looked somewhere very. He's not there. He was in Italy somewhere, right? He's on the Amalfi Coast. He looked somewhere beautiful. He was drinking wine and doing
as you do in the summer.
He is chill as AF, isn't he? Yeah, I like Cobby. And well, look. So there was some talk that they were going to put him on a kind of heavy physical training program to give him more physicality. Yeah, some strength training, sprint training, that kind of thing, right? So he's just up to the level of physicality that Amorim wants, and hopefully to avoid some of the injury problems he's had too. Then the other thing is, like, can he be braver with his passing? He's great in tight spaces, as you said. He'll get the ball under pressure all the time. Very rarely loses it. He makes a lot of, he does a lot of work, interceptions, tackles, defensive actions, all of that kind of stuff. But like playing in a 6 is not really his thing, right? So if he's the slightly further forward of the two in the pivot, receiving the ball, turning, bringing the others into play, can it be more than just a 5-yard pass? Or is it that with Mbeumo and Cunha there, he's got players who are naturally in the half spaces and he's got an option, right? And it just makes him a better player because he's playing alongside players that suit the system better. Yeah,
but he did, correct me if I'm wrong, he did play in the midfield too under Ten Hag in his first season, right?
Yeah.
So I would imagine that's where I want to see him. I don't know what's happened. I don't know why he plays less. I'd like to know, because it feels like everyone's just making assumptions. We haven't heard anything concrete. Nothing. We've heard.
I told him about him a little bit. Said he thought he was better in the 10. It doesn't feel right to me, but yeah.
It doesn't. Obviously, there's some reason why he's not playing, whether it's fitness, whether it's injuries or whatever. But we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard any leaks. The only leaks that we have had is like ages ago. They were like, well, they might get rid of him because of contract issues and he wants a new deal, blah, 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 all that sort of back and forth. It's much ado about nothing, really. I'm hoping that it's just fitness and issues because he's a top player. You saw it even with the Leon goal. I think he just curled it in the top corner. He brings a certain amount of goals into his game as well that he doesn't have. It's just, I want my team to look like this, okay? I want it to be Fernandes, Mainu, Mbeumo, Cunha, Gyökeres. And then the back 5, I guess, I always look at it and think I want this player, but they always tend to be injured. I think Martinez is out till January, right?
Yeah.
So Euro, I would have Maguire right centre back. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that. I don't care. Maguire right centre back and in heaven, and then the fullbacks, Dogu and Dallo, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's depending on who we're playing. I mean,
Dogu and Dallo.
Mazraoui may come in there, or Dallo at some point.
That does leave out Mazraoui, I guess. But...
I mean, we've got a lot of options in those defensive areas.
In defense, yeah, I feel like there's a lot more options that you can have, but
as long as they're all fit.
Yes, I would have Maguire in against the low block, and I would have De Ligt in for bigger games. For games where we're going to defend more, I would have him as a header kick it clear dude.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would shape it up to be. And then I look at that team and I go, just by adding 3 attacking players in, it feels like everything's changed a little bit, and you can be a little bit more optimistic. The thing is as well, I don't know if it will. Because we're just hearing Sporting Lisbon and Gyökeres like having argy-bargy. We're not hearing anything concrete, which is also very difficult in this summer transfer window. They might finally have someone who has the same mantra as like Van Nistelrooy. This guy he just loves scoring, gobbles up goals. I always say 80% of Amorim's goals from Sporting Lisbon came from the system, right? Came from cutbacks, wing backs down the touchline, cutting it back, crossing it in. They came from players getting inside that half space, then crossing it in. The other 20% was Gyökeres. Literally, that was it. That was the other 20% where they throw the ball into him into the penalty area. He'd muscle a defender off here, lash a shot in. You saw that against Man City as well. He was really, really good.
Yeah. Well, look, and City, I don't think is the best framing of this play. I mean, he was good in that game, but it's not the system Sporting normally played. Go look at Gyökeres. Look at all his goals last season. Right, there's a bunch of comps on YouTube. 39 of them. Take 12 off for the penalties. He probably won't take the penalties unless he's
no, he won't.
Got big enough balls to take it off Bruno over my dead body.
I don't think he'd allow it.
No chance.
I think he's like one of the best penalty takers in the world.
All right, so that leaves 27 non-penalty goals last season. I may get the numbers wrong there. It's a lot of goals anyway. It's a lot of non-penalty goals he scored, right? The ones he won't score in the Premier League are the ones where he gets miles of space in behind the back four, or where he gets miles of space in the box and there's no, except against the lower ranking teams, where they may, like, depending on how much more possession we get next season. And I think we averaged 53% under Amorim last season. Let's tick that up 3 or 4% because we're close to Amorim's system. So teams in the bottom half of the table, assuming we're not there, are going to play with a low block. And so Gyökeres will not get that space that he got for a bunch of the goals. Take a bunch off as a result, right? Kees van der Hammeren from the Devil in Details pod. Sorry, Kees, I'm ruining your name there. I was talking to him on Twitter. He's got a model making an assumption around how many goals. I think his model says something like 18 or 19, accounting for level of league. Smarter Scout used to do this as well. They're down at the moment for whatever reason. Weight leagues. You can take the ELO ratings of the leagues and the teams in the leagues, and you can make an assumption about the quality. So let's say he gets between 15 and 18 league goals next season. Are we feeling good about that? It's not the nearly 40 he got for Sporting, but we have to take account of the league,
15, 18 goals.
system, style, blah, 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 all of that. 15 to 18 goals. That'd be a pretty good return if we get that. He's just not going to get all those ones we get miles of space. What he does do, he fucking whacks it. And this is a tactic show. That is not a tactical point. He likes to belt it. Yeah.
Is he a good header of the ball? I haven't seen many. Okay.
I think he's crap. I think he's crap. I think he's literally bottom quartile in the air. He doesn't win any duels at all in the air. He doesn't get a lot of headed. He doesn't win a lot of headed duels. He just does not. So, and from what I've seen, doesn't score a lot of headed goals either.
So my plan of him being better.
But do we put a lot of long, lofted balls in under Amorim? So, we did last season because you give it to Bruno and he's like, "What do I do with it? I'll lump it."
Yeah, I'd like someone to aim at, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe his tall frame could take players away at least, but he is a good box. He is good at box presence, but I don't. Yeah, maybe his heading ability is on the weaker side.
Yeah, I don't think he's Erling Haaland in that respect, but he would be an upgrade, like no doubt about it. I on the finance show, I had some skepticism about the numbers involved in this one, and people did not seem to like that point. It's not really a point about him as a footballer. The skepticism I have is when you come from, well, currently in the UEFA coefficient rankings, Portugal is the 6th ranked league, right? So there's two issues there. One, you're going to, as we've just talked about, downgrade the number of goals he's going to get and the types of goals, right? Including quite a few of the ones he tends to score. Fair enough. You just accept that. The other thing you do, though, if it doesn't work out, is every single club in Europe will go, he's a flat track bully. And you can certainly make that argument if you look at where and who against he scores goals against, right? Doesn't score a lot of his goals against really top teams. Now, he's got a few at international level, a few in the Champions League and so on. So it's not universally true. I'm not saying he only scores against crap teams, but it is skewed a little bit that way. And so if it didn't work out for whatever reason and United decided, okay, 2 years in, we haven't got value for money, we'll move him on, you'd find it really, really hard at the kind of numbers we're talking about because he will be on a wage commensurate with the fee. So it's going to be a big wage.
I would pay attention to a certain Nigerian striker that has just rejected a very handsome deal from Saudi Arabia.
Because talking about heading, there is a world-class header.
He's a world-class header. He's a world-class everything. I think he's brilliant. I
agree. The risk with Osimhen is twofold, one of which I don't care about and the other I do, right? So the first risk is his injury record prior to this season, and the one really brilliant season he had with Napoli was pretty poor. He maybe hadn't grown into his body, like maybe he's got better, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not sure what's going on here with your pointing. For people on the app...
I'm saying, let me come in. I'm saying,
Go ahead. Injury record, risk with Osimhen.
There was about 3 or 4 months where 2-3 months where one of those injuries was literally he got smacked so hard in the eye.
That's true. Yeah, a freak injury, that one. Yeah.
So I don't regard that part with him. Even with those injuries, right? They always say the last season at Napoli he didn't perform well enough. Even with those injuries, he still scored 14 or 15. The season where they won Scudetto, I think.
No doubt, he's a great player. He's a great player, and he's affordable. 75 million buyout clause, and he's turned down Saudi.
Euros or pounds?
Euros. It's 60 million pounds or 65 million pounds. It's pretty good.
But you would think his value would go down after going to Galatasaray. But he scored 24 and 26 there as well.
He's been great there. He's turned down Saudi, so clearly he's thinking about not just the money. The other issue I was saying, like the risky one, is he has not always been seen as a team player. Now, there are reasons for that at Napoli. He fell out with De Laurentiis, the president.
But everybody does.
Everybody falls out. There was that issue with social media when Napoli made fun of him.
I don't think that we will be making racial jokes about Viktor.
I really hope whoever is the admin on United Twitter is not a racist. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, but there is a sense, I think, and I wonder whether this has played into the fact that none of the big clubs have picked him up just yet, that he is very individualistic and not necessarily a team thing. And Amorim is, you are in the boat rowing in our direction or you are out, right? He is a system and team above, the collective above everything. So now I'm not saying, I care less about that. Amorim seems to care loads about that. In the history of Manchester United, there have been loads of individuals. There have been players that hated each other and worked well together. Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham, the famously absolutely hated each other, and it was so petty as well the way it started. But so maybe that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you've got a player as brilliant as him. If you can keep him fit and you can sell the project to him and say, hey, we are going all in and taking a gamble this season, and it does look like it, that we are going to get back into the Champions League. We're going to make the top 5 and be back in the Champions League, and the financial gamble will pay off, and we don't have to sell a bunch of players next summer. And this project is going somewhere. We have a top young manager. We know what we're doing. Finally, we're going to get it right because the scouting department is led by someone competent. I'm just playing out the scenario, the sales pitch. And if you gave me a choice between Gyökeres and Osimhen, I'd take Osimhen every single time, right? He's just a better player, right? More of an all-round player, would fit perfectly in the system. It's just the extracurriculars that appear to be the concern. And can you pay him enough? And can you sell him this dream that we're not in the Champions League this year, take a year, get used to England, then we will be in 26, 27?
Yeah, I mean, he's an option. But I'm glad that they're also looking at a striker. I think we spoke about how Mbeumo's fitting in, how Cunha's fitting in. Look at a striker, look at a goalkeeper, and then another midfielder, I guess.
One extra midfielder.
Two midfielders. I want someone who plays. Squad players are really important now. I want someone in there who plays, I don't know, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Everybody's injured, everyone's tired in the winter. Go play against Brentford away. Someone more experienced, someone who can win duels. I don't know who that'll be, by the way. They're not, transfer markets are harder than ever because teams have more money than ever. And
although there's a bunch of teams right at the limit of their PSR, right? So
but they will.
If you look at
my point is
Forest and Aston Villa, very, very tight on PSR, probably have to sell to buy, right?
True, but I don't think with respect to Forest and Villa, they'll be competing with them. I think they'll be competing with like Chelsea's, Arsenal's, Liverpool's, City's.
No, I mean I was thinking of extracting players for them. So let me give you two names.
You're thinking about pitching players from them. Nice.
Let me give you two names and see whether you like either of these names.
I could probably predict what they'll be.
Onana from Aston Villa.
Knew it.
Big, technically not great. Belgian midfielder, technically not great. Big bastard who likes to kick people a lot. Physical.
I would personally have loved Tielemans instead of him. They're not going to sell him.
No, I don't think so. And then from Forest, Elliot Anderson really gets around the pitch. Fantastic engine on him. They only just got him last year, of course, but Forest are really tight on PSR as well. In fact, they may have broken it. So.
The mini Scott McTominay.
Scott McTominay.
He's like, dude, why'd you sell McTominay then?
Yeah,
I like Andre Onana. I'd take him, but it feels like the first leg of the transfer window is done, and they've got some agreements in place. They've signed a player. The second leg will be on getting a striker, getting a keeper, and you hope a midfielder.
Yeah, and it will be selling as well. So let's talk. I mean, it's a tactics show, not the finance show, but let's just talk about. I think it's obvious the players we're going to get out because they don't fit. So, Sancho because the club hate him now and he's being a dick. I think this will end up either in a contract termination, which is not what we wanted, or a loan with a small loan fee.
That doesn't tend to happen a lot in football, contract terminations.
No, it did with Mesut Ozil at Arsenal, and the reason why it might happen is if the options for United are we pay 75% of his wages because he won't take a pay cut for the final year of his contract and don't take a loan fee, and he goes somewhere right late in the window because he's got us with our balls in his hands, or we terminate now and say, okay, we'll pay you half your wages for next season. We terminate, you go on a freebie, you can get a nice big signing on fee for anyone who's foolish enough to take you. When it broke down with Chelsea, that scenario became real. Unfortunately, no one will pay us £25 million for Sancho this summer. Nobody. Right? So he's gone for sure. Rashford, Garnacho, we know the situations with them. Rashford's a difficult one because of his wages. If he really wants to go to Barcelona, I think a late loan covering some of the wages is a very real scenario. It's not great. Garnacho, it looks like they've got a queue of clubs who will want him. But I'm not turning it into the finance show. I'm just saying these are the deals that get done.
We need to also digest the summer transfer window.
Yeah.
It's not,
exactly.
we've done all your tactics for the first 20 minutes. All right, people get bored of talking tactics after a bit. Even I do. Not really,
no, they don't. They don't. Actually, you know what happens? The feedback on this show is we need more tactics. People want to nerd out on this kind.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Well,
so what's missing, right? We talked.
What we spoke about this then for the last. But the thing is, in terms of just to summarize then, in terms of the tactics and what we need. From last season, the problems were very clear. The back three are pressed. The full backs are pressed. They go long to Ireland. It doesn't work. That's about it. So you need to do two or three things. Buy players who are going to take the ball on the half turn their man, and go. Progress the ball up the pitch. Okay, fine. You've got Cunha and Mbeumo to do that. Fine. The plan B is, and I want to see less of this, is going long to the striker and making it stick. I personally think, I know we've spoke about Gyökeres not being good in aerial duels, or not being good at duels. If you knocked it in the channel to Gyökeres, he'll probably work it better than Højlund. If you knocked it to Mbeumo or Cunha or Gyökeres in the channel, maybe they can make it stick. And then, hey presto, what can you do? A half-space runner in behind, or somebody on the wing in behind them as well. Those are the big problems, the progression, and how slow they run the ball. But I don't regard how slow they play the ball as a tactic to me. Like, it's the tactics show, but like that is more, the tempo of it is so slow. So like, it's one thing where you can't beat the press. It's another where you're zipping the ball around with such slow pace. By the time the opponent is pressing their players, you kind of look up and you go, "Oh, I'll just go long then." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that needs to increase as well, and the centre backs pushing up with the ball from 20 yards will increase. But if all that gets better, it's better that you have better players in your team to do that. It's better if you have Mbeumo. It's better if you have Cunha. It's better if you have Gyökeres or whichever striker to do that, I feel. And another goalkeeper who can pass out from the back. It feels like the last 5 or 6 years it's become really important for goalkeepers.
It has.
It's the evolution of goalkeepers. They have to pass out from the back. Ederson, Alisson.
I actually think it's important in an Amorim system because the centre back, or in theory, it's the centre back pushes into midfield. It was actually the wider ones, especially with Euro, and Onana becomes the third centre back. In theory, right? But I don't know whether it's confidence or we were sold a lemon here and he really wasn't as good.
Or whether they're just telling him not to do it.
Or whether it's a tactical thing because they don't believe they can progress, so go risk-free and go a bit longer. But it hasn't worked out. That is a completely different question from his actual goalkeeping ability, which if you make that many mistakes, which sucks because if you make that many mistakes, everyone loses confidence. And he is a player who, it is said, I think Karl Anker has reported this at The Athletic, that he takes it very much to heart, right? Some players... Onana, yeah. Takes it very much to heart. He stews in it. He thinks about it. He can't let it go. He compounds it with other mistakes. Like the other goalkeeper has been mentioned a lot in the transfer window is Emi Martinez. He wants to get out of Aston Villa for some reason. He makes just as many mistakes. He makes loads of mistakes. Couldn't give a fuck about it.
A lot better with the ball at his feet, like a mile.
Yeah, it's not the deal I'd do. I'd go for a different profile because I think we'd like to get rid of those errors that. Because he'll be under so much more pressure. You can make an error at Aston Villa, it's forgotten the next day. The one he made against United, everyone thought it was funny, forgot it the next day. They'd be talking about that for months if he did it at United. The pressure would be insane.
I feel as though he has the personality and mentality.
He does have the personality
of somebody who could take it on.
Yeah, like, he's a world-class dick. Yeah.
Didn't he get keeper of the world, whatever you call it?
Well, he did because he fucked that hand in the World Cup.
No, I mean that isn't just what he did to get goalkeeper of the world. That isn't the only thing he did to get. I mean, he was fantastic in the Argentina wouldn't win the World Cup without him. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so that's it. We can see how the tactics will evolve. Better players. That was the answer. But no, better players that suit what Amorim wants to do. So I assume if Gyökeres doesn't happen, they'll move on to target number 3 or whatever, because Delap didn't happen either. I don't know who that is. Big strikers cost lots of money. We cannot go into next season with Xerxes and Højlund as our options. Surely. I would like to have seen another right wing back as options, but it feels like they're going to convert Diallo, Ahmad.
Yeah.
Feels like that. I think we're well stocked in central defensive areas if we believe Heaven is going to make it, right? If we really believe in him, he's only 18, remember.
I think everybody does.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, it's a big ask of him, but if we believe him, then he can play left side of the central defence and he'll be a good fit there. And then a goalkeeper, and that should be obviously,
that should be
mentioned, stock up in midfield because we don't have many options, but it's not bad, and I think that is good. And we're 15th, but the gap from 15th to 5th in quality, it's not that different. It's not from 5th to 1st is a big lift, but from 15th to 5th, I think there's real options there. You don't have to get that much better to do it. We're adding with those 3 forwards. How many league goals did they get between them last season? About 60.
I think
it's a lot.
Well, 39.
Yeah. So it's an awful lot, and so we're adding a lot of individual quality as well as players that will fit for the system. So, reasons to be hopeful at the moment?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
I think reasons to be optimistic, for sure.
All right, very good. Going to win the league one day.
21 loading. Is it 21 or 22?
We're looking for 21, aren't we?
21, yeah. 21 is loading.
Project 21, or Project 25, or 28, or whatever it is. Very good. Thank you, Dharnish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, listeners, viewers, TikTok trollers, wherever you are.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Suck it, yeah. Bye now.